Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. You know, the sitcom Seinfeld is one of those things because you could use pieces from this series to relate to so many different real life situations or, you know, things you want to talk about. There's like you always use Seinfeld as a reference. If you need a good clip to, you know, convey your message and stuff, you can go to Seinfeld and shit, right? So I was watching Seinfeld, right? And this episode right here came on, and then it made me think, it's like, oh, I was just thinking about this the other day, about this thing, and I was like, well, let me go ahead and make a little video. So this video gonna be a little choppy. It's like this one here is like, this recording's not the best, all this stuff, you know? So let's go ahead and get into this. So right here, what I'm going to show you here is there's a couple and they're having a discussion about naming of their child. Okay? So actually, yeah, let me show you the Jackson. We'll go back to that one actually. So this is the Jackson. So I just told you that they're setting up the naming of their child, right? So in the Jacksons movie, no, let's go back to here. See, it's gonna be it's not gonna be perfect, this one. But let's go ahead. They're gonna name. They're talking about naming of their child. So let's listen.
So have you picked out a name yet?
Well, we've narrowed it down to a few. We like Kimberly.
Oh boy.
You don't like Kimberly? What else you got? How about Joe?
How about Joe? That's just funny that he says, oh, how about Joe? Because, like I said, it's just funny because I'm talking about the Michael Jackson thing. And then how about Joe? Because that's what they do with the Michael. Joe gets the middle name in there, you know? So it's just funny that he says, how about Joe? You know, but what I'm just trying to show you here is like, this is, see how common it is for a married couple to be having discussions about the name of their baby before the baby's born. Okay? It's so common that I can't imagine it not being like them. I can't imagine any married couple not having discussions of the name of their baby far before the baby's born and having multiple names and then talking to people like here. They're having discussions about the name. And then he says, no, well, what else you got? How about Joe? Gives him another name. It's like they got different names and stuff. That's like, you know, this is like common, right?
Now, come on, I'm eating this. Pamela? All right. I'll tell you what, you look like nice people, I'm gonna help you. Oh, beautiful lip? Soda.
Okay, so that he gives him the soda name, right? Okay, so, but that's not really the name. He has another name. We're gonna get to that in a second, okay? But just so I'm showing you here, it's like, see how common it is for people to have discussions of the naming of their baby and stuff? Okay, so now we're gonna go back up to this one.
Oh, no, of course not. I got a great name for our kids.
Okay, so now they've left the restaurant, and he's talking with, this is going to be his wife, and then, so now he's saying, no, I gave them soda, but I didn't give them the real name that I want, right? So this is the name that he really wants.
Real original. You want to hear what it is? You ready?
Yeah? What is that, sign language?
7.
7 Costanza. You're serious?
Yeah. It's a beautiful name for a boy or a girl. Especially a girl or a boy.
I don't think so.
Well, you don't like the name?
It's not a name, it's a number.
I know, it's Mickey Mantle's number. So not only is it an all-around beautiful name, it is also a living tribute.
It's awful, I hate it.
Well, that's the name.
Oh, no, it is not. No child of mine is ever going to be named 7.
Okay, and see, they're talking about their baby's name. They're not even pregnant. This is what I'm trying to show. It's like, look at how common. They're having the discussion of their baby's name, and she's not even pregnant. I mean, it's common. It's so beyond common. But in the Jacksons, and this is the official story, and in the Jacksons, An American Dream, remember, they've got a lot of kids and stuff, right? And Catherine and Joe are married. They're sleeping in the same bed, you know? But for some reason, they're telling you that Michael, now look at, and when you go back and look at the names, like I can tell you that Tito, his real name is like Terriano, whatever. I heard him on a show, I've got it on video. He says that his name, Joe gave him his name because his name, the Terriano, whatever it was a famous boxer. Because like I said, Joe's into boxing and stuff, respected boxing. That shows you how much he respected boxing too. He named Tito, his real name is like Terriano, whatever it is, but it was because he got it from a boxer. Okay, so it shows you like the planning of the names and what it means. It means things to people, and that one right there shows you that Joseph was doing that. He was planning the names of his children. I'm going to dedicate my son's name to, and see how he dedicated his son, gave him the name of a boxer. He didn't give him his own name. It wasn't happening like that. So this is what they show you in the Jacksons. And like I said, this is around the Michael kid, which I tell you that if Michael was not born to Catherine, well then Catherine and Joe never would have been in bed at night having discussions of the baby's name, because they don't know when the kid's coming to them. They don't know if the kid's gonna, like, are they gonna have to name the kid? Like, they wouldn't be thinking that, right? I mean, think about it. If Catherine and Joe are getting a baby, they're not thinking, well, what are we gonna name the baby? That's not a thought that's going on in their head. And because that's not a thought that's going on in their head, at the time of where they need to come up with the name to put on the birth certificate, you know, there is a moment where they had to do that. I think that Diana Ross called the kid Michael. She says his name's Michael. She named him Michael. So then they come up with a way, well, how are we going to put the name on the birth certificate, you know? And that's when they say, well, how about Joe? Like how in the Seinfeld thing. Well, how about Joe? Let's put Joe's name in there, because Joe's name never appears on any children before Michael. Even like if you wanted to give like a tribute to Joe, you would have put it on the name of the kid right before Michael, who died at birth. Okay, well then why wouldn't you put his name there to give a little bit of tribute to that kid? Put Joe there. There was nothing. It's not there. Joseph's name does not exist in any of his children's name before Michael. And it shows the cover-up that they didn't know, they didn't have a name for the child because Catherine was never pregnant with Michael, so therefore they never were considering any kind of names. And if they had been pregnant, and if Catherine had had discussions with their mother, don't you think they would have had those discussions far, far before the moment of where the birth?
I've been trying to think of names.
Why is she thinking of names?
It's so fast, we about to rush.
Okay, so at the time, the kid's right there. Joe's not there. And for some reason, this would be the grandmother, so her mother, I've been trying to think of names. What do you mean? You've been trying to think of names? Where's Joe? You're going to tell me Joseph and Catherine have not had discussions about the naming of their child. When I just showed you in Seinfeld how it's so common that George and his wife were having discussions about their baby's name before that she's even pregnant. That people are thinking, this is what I'm going to name my kid. I'm going to name my kid this. You're thinking about it before you even got like a wife and you're pregnant. Like, that's how common it is. But they're telling you that this is the way it happened. And this is the true story because what they say here, the name Ronald comes out. This is why this is like an official documented story. This is not part of the movie because this has been officially documented that they were going to name him Ronald. And it's like, what I wonder, maybe there was a thing there, Ronald, maybe, you know, with the mother and stuff, who knows exactly, but maybe Diana came in with Michael, and so then that stopped the Ronald thing. Something weird is happening here, and I'm showing you here that it shows it right here. There's something weird, and where is this weirdness occurring? With the kid Michael, and it's odd in a way that could not have happened. And then they put the name Joe in there, like Joe never named any of his kids, and so now Catherine's mother is just gonna, let's tribute Joe, let's put Joe's name. Don't you think Joe might have a say-so on the name of his child? They're telling you right here, Joe had no involvement in the naming of his son. That's what they're telling you. That's not possible. It's not possible. And why did it happen this way? Because they were never pregnant with Michael. It was never their kid. It shows that they never were thinking of the name for this child.
A lot of names. Oh, how about Ronald? Oh, Mama, no, not Ronald. Donald? Oh, Mama, no, I don't want Donald. Well, how about
Michael. And then she said, Michael Joseph Jackson. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. See what they're showing? They're saying that this is like how it occurred. Because that Ronald thing is there. And it's like, and so it shows you that the Joe's not involved in this. There's something weird. It's weird, and it's directly revolving around the kid Michael. And like, which kid is the kid with all the talent? Michael. Which person out of that family ends up dead at a young age? Michael. Which person ends up chopping their face up to do all the surgeries? The other people did surgeries, but it wasn't like Michael. Michael. Who's calling himself Peter Pan, living in Neverland Ranch, hanging out with all the children? Michael. Can you not see that there's something different about this guy? And it starts at his birth. There's weird things going on, and it's totally different. So, let's get back to the, well, let me see what else I'm going to show you here. Okay, so the name Seven, oh yeah, so they named the kid Seven, right? That's what I was showing you in the Seinfeld, that they named the kid Seven. Okay, so Michael has this infatuation with the number 7, and there's supposed to be technically like a little thing like that he's the 7th child. I mean, the explanation for it, it's like, it's one of the things about the fans. It's like, my understanding, I mean, I know the number 7 is supposed to be a lucky number, but I believe that the number 7 being connected to Michael is supposed to be that he's the 7th child. I mean, I believe that that's the story. If anybody out there has a better understanding, that if you can prove to me that it has nothing to do with that, you know, but I do believe it has something to do with that. But is there, unless it's totally has nothing to do with that, that's just the lucky number, because he puts it on everything. And from what I understand, there's supposed to be a connection to him being the 7th child of the Jacksons. Okay, like, let me show you another, because when you know his artwork, it's real common for him to put the 7 in there. And see, now this one, it's weird. Like, so it says 7, and look at the face on that picture with the 7. It's weird, right? It's weird in a weird way. Now, this is Joe Jackson's Wikipedia, right? So, all the names of the Jackson children. So, like, looking at the names, too. Okay, so Maureen Rillette Reby Jackson. Maureen Rillette, you're going to tell me that they didn't think of that, they weren't coming up, they didn't sit and contemplate the name of that? You tell me that right when she was born, they just said, oh, she looks like a Maureen Rillette. Like, come on. They definitely had discussions about naming their child. You can see it in the names. So the next one, Sigmund Esco, Jackie Jackson. Sigmund Esco. Sigmund Esco. See what I'm saying? These names are like, not only, they're different in a way that they had to have serious meaning. They had to think about these names. They had to have conversations. These were not just random names. The next one, Toriano Adaril Tito Jackson. Toriano, and like I said, I've got video of Tito saying that name Toriano, I don't know if it's Toriano, all of it, Toriano Adaril, whatever. I've heard him say that that's a boxer that Joe liked, and that's where he got that name, that he was given that name because that was a boxer that Joseph admired. Okay, so I know that name came from that, you know, which shows that Joseph's thinking of like, well, how do I dedicate this name? What do I want to name my kid? It shows. But do you see Joe in there? No Joe. No Joe. And so now you've got the first 2 boys. No Joe. Joe does not appear in there. Joe's not there. So if Joe had any significance of labeling his name and carrying on that tradition, it would have happened already. It didn't happen. It did not happen. So you've got to consider that Joe did not want it to happen. He didn't want to put his name on the kids, or else it would have happened already. So that couldn't be a freak little thing when they put Michael's name in there. That's not like a thing that you could just do and Joe would be like, okay, I'm fine with that. Joe might be dramatically against that because he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it before. So why would you just assume that he's going to be accepting of that, right? So as you go down through this, so Jermaine LaJuan, see what I'm saying about these names? They thought of these names. Latoya Yvonne. Okay, now then you get down to Marlon David. Then the next kid, Brandon David. Okay, because those were supposed to be twins, but the one kid dies at birth or something like that. But I did hear Catherine say that at the time she was giving birth to the kids, she gave birth to Marlon. The doctor walked out of the room. The nurse said, hey, there's another one in here. Because remember, that's back in the day. They don't have the modern technologies. They didn't know it was twins, or whatever. They don't have the heart. They can't listen to the heartbeats. Whatever it was, they didn't know it was twins. Okay, so then the doctor comes back in and starts getting the baby out, right? But I guess he was pulling the baby out. They have things they put on their head or whatever and start yanking that babies out. There's things they do. But when he was doing that, Catherine stated that she literally said to that doctor, "Stop, you're killing my baby." She literally said that, and that kid died, okay? So now, if that happened, if the Jacksons needed that doctor to fake a birth certificate, do you think that that doctor might have been willing to do that for them in that moment? Like he had just killed one of their kids. He had been like a family doctor. They have a long history with him. And then he just killed one of their babies. And then so now the thing comes up with Michael. And they're like, they tell the doctor, hey, we need a birth certificate, you know? And that's all they would have to do. They need a doctor to verify that this is a birth certificate to say it's their kid. Because they're not adopting Michael. They own Michael. He was given to them at birth, and they put the Jackson's name. They created a fake birth certificate for like it was the Jackson's baby. All you would need is the doctor to do that. That's all you would need. Now, does the doctor right there, if he killed their baby before there, doesn't that show you that there's a possibility of maybe he would do that for them? You know? Because especially too, if they're saying, oh, Catherine can't, she's devastated since she lost the baby, you know? And the doctor, they would have all known that she literally told him, stop, you're killing my baby. There's something there. That's what I'm saying. It's not like there's nothing there. There is something there to show you that they could have had that doctor fake the birth certificate for him, right? So then you come to the next child, and it's Michael Joseph Jackson. Okay, so there's your Joseph. The first time it appears on any of the boys' name or on any kid up until that time, the first time it's Michael. The one I tell you is the odd one. And they're trying to fix the name. Like maybe they were gonna put the name Ronald, but Diana said no, it's Michael, right? So then when they said no, it's Michael, maybe then they said, or like the Ronald thing, I don't know what that is. Who knows exactly how that works out and stuff, but that's the story they tell. But then Michael comes out on there. So I would say at that time, the Jacksons are like, well, how do we want to, this isn't our baby. And see what I'm saying? It shows the cover up. It shows that the Jacksons are showing that this is not our baby. So how do we identify this baby as it being ours? Oh, let's put Joseph's name on there. And then now the name is identified with Joe on the birth certificate. That's their baby now. And you can see that's why they put the Joe in there. It wasn't because they were trying to honor Joe. They're trying to cover up their lie. And you can see it in this stuff. But then the other thing is, Michael's the 8th child. Like I said, the Brandon David kid died, I don't know how long it was after he died from being born, but he was born. He's actually a real baby. He was born in the world. So it's not like he was a miscarriage, okay? If he was a miscarriage, then you wouldn't consider maybe that's not a real baby. But this kid's born. He's a real child. So Michael is the 8th child. He's not the 7th child. So why does Michael have the infection? See, it's Maureen 1, Sigmund 2, Toriano 3, Jermaine 4, Latoya 5, Marlon 6, Brandon 7. Brandon was 7. Michael's 8. Michael's 8. So why does Michael then have this, what's the 7 thing about? What's that all about? And then when you see a picture like that, it's like, is Michael feeling like, you know, he's replacing that dead child in the Jackson? That 7 was the dead child, of which now Michael has stepped into the house to replace that child, because Michael's actually would have been the 8th, but Michael's not a real member of the family, and he's labeling himself 7, and when you see a picture like that, it's like, looks like zombie, like some dead kid, you know? It's like, is that what Michael feels like? Does he feel like he's like, as far as his place in the Jackson's house as being number 7, that something weird. It's like trying to explain. Like I said, it's a weird thing. And like this video, it's like, I don't know exactly, you know, but it's just kind of interesting. Something I just wanted to put out there. Sometimes I just got to put information out there. It's not that I completely understand everything, but it's just something that I see that's going on. That's like, what is this? And like I keep saying, why is it always around Michael, all of this stuff? And you can see that there's something weird. It's weird, and it's directly revolving around Michael, and it's revolving around Michael in a way that's totally not consistent with the normalities of life of what would exist in the world. It's not normal. There's all kinds of oddities here revolving around Michael Jackson. All kinds of them. Like right from this birth, it's constantly happening. Everything. And as I've got the evidence, you go back and look at Diana, and then she tells you that she was sleeping in Smokey Robinson's house and in love with him at the time of which Michael would have been conceived, which was right after Smokey Robinson met Berry Gordy. So right as they start to work together to develop the record company, then what do you know? You got Diana saying, I'm pregnant from you, Smokey. She's only 14 years old. And she's saying, I'm pregnant. And she had just turned 14 at that time. She was actually only 13 when she got pregnant. But so at the time where she would have told him, which is like almost like about 3 months into her pregnancy, something like that, a little bit less, whatever. But on her 14th birthday, by then, she's definitely pregnant a few months at that time. And so she tells him at that time, so like I said, she's young. And then they think about the reality of what would happen at the time. You've got Berry Gordy trying to build a record company with Smokey Robinson, which is developing into Motown. They don't know exactly, but that's what they're on the verge of, and they can sense it, that's what they're trying to build. Okay? So Berry Gordy trying to build Motown with this guy, Smokey Robinson, and then right as they're working together, at that time, Smokey gets pregnant from a 14-year-old girl in the neighborhood. Don't you think that there's a possibility that they could have made arrangements to get rid of that child? Because it's motive. It's about motive. Everything is like, when you want to prove something, you have to have a real motive. I've got a real motive. Smokey Robinson got a 14-year-old girl pregnant just at the exact same time of which he's trying to build Motown Records with Berry Gordy. Now, Berry Gordy, do you really think that Berry Gordy was going to build his company, all of that, and have that right from the beginning, have that problem with this 14-year-old girl in the neighborhood? It was too much of an obstacle, something to say, I'm just going to not worry about it and we'll just deal with it later. He couldn't do that because as soon as it come out, it would have ruined not only all of his the music of what he's doing now, it would have ruined any kind of future development in the music business. It would have just been done. That's it. It would have all been over if that would have come out. You would see that they would have been thinking that way. And then, so they give the kid to the Jacksons. That's how Michael ended up there. And you can see the Jacksons don't have a name for their child. And Michael's got this weird infatuation with the number 7. And there's the 7. That Michael Jackson looking freaking dead. So if you actually think about the 7th kid in the Jackson family, then you find out that kid's dead. And Michael's got a connection to the word 7 through the Jackson thing, but that kid's a dead kid. So Michael's referring to himself as the dead Jackson kid. It's fucking weird. And it's constantly going on around Michael Jackson that there's something majorly off. There's something majorly off, but nobody ever could see it because the thing that's off is that he was not a Jackson. And how could anybody ever understand that he's not a Jackson when it's clearly documented that he was raised in the Jackson household from a baby? So why would anybody not believe that he was a Jackson? But now we've got past all that stuff. We've seen the whole picture. And now we look back. That's what they say. Hindsight is 20/20. When it was happening, it was harder to see. But now it's happened. And now it's in hindsight, I can look back on it, and I'm seeing everything perfectly clear. You can see it. It's documented. This is what's going on. My story explains everything over and over and over again.